All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, excited to be talking to an individual who is part of the headline attraction of BKFC 31, and this goes down on October the 15th. We have Mike Richman and Isaac Doolittle knuckling up and toeing the line. We got some hardware up for grabs as well. Should be a great fight out there in Denver, and always good getting to talk to Isaac, and especially with, an interim title fight on the horizon. How's the day going so far there, man? You feeling good about being locked into a title fight?
Yeah, it's going pretty well. This is actually my day off. All the other days we've been hitting training hard, but just getting some errands done.
Yeah, and when did this offer kind of come your way? I would think that you'd be excited. I mean, I would think that maybe you'd want to fight like the lineal champion as maybe like something just outside of it, but I would think this would be a great option nonetheless, and fighting a pretty, prevalent kind of contender. So, like, what was the reaction when the bout agreement initially came your way?
It was actually, we got it about 2 weeks ago. I was expecting a different name, but I'm kind of excited because, A, this is going to be the first person who's actually my size, and B, I mean, the man's a monster. He's on my bucket list of people I want to fight, so I'm super excited for this name.
Yeah, you strike me as a guy that, like, studies the lay of the land and everything like that, and, Mike Richman has just generated some, pretty big knockouts and undefeated so far, just as you are. So, yeah, strikes me as a guy that you'd be familiar with a fair bit.
Oh, yeah, because he was, my last fight, he was the main event. So he was right after me. He put a hurting on Caveman Rickles. So it's kind of a little bit of a Kansas vengeance thing. Maybe I can bring a little bit of equalizing to this fight.
Yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned the dynamic with, like, the physical dimensions. Like, does that change your preparations for this one? Just, like, I feel like the plane of the strike, like, the trajectory of the strike would be different fighting an opponent who's taller and maybe differently proportioned than your upcoming opponent would be. Is there any amendments that happen in a training camp fighting someone who maybe has a similar kind of physique? Just because, like you said, kind of like a bit of an anomaly somewhat.
It is indeed an anomaly because all of my opponents have had anywhere from 74 to 77 inch reach. I have about a 63 inch reach. So most of the training camp is always getting in because a lot of these guys like to box from the outside. Richmond sits in the pocket, and I like to sit in the pocket. So this one's going to be it's a bit of a training camp because it's not just me running after a guy like I'm chasing my little kid.
Yeah, so you feel like he'll maybe meet you in the middle and kind of indulge what you're looking to do a little bit more in that sense?
Oh, yeah, I think it's going to be a firefight. One of us is going to come out bloody. Probably both of us are going to come out bloody, and hopefully it gets stopped before the fifth bell. I haven't had anybody knock me down, and this man's hands disintegrate people, so I'm actually very excited that he might be able to test my chin.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Like, so you feel like maybe you haven't gotten to, like, really get, like, connected with in a sense and show that kind of durability. Like, you think he's going to be the one to kind of, like, test that a little bit in a certain sense, like, see how you withstand a blow of that magnitude, I suppose.
Fighting guys that are bigger than him, so I'm not sure if it's going to be durability. I mean, Jackson, it's apparently, according to everybody in the audience, it sounded like he was smacking me in the face with a baseball bat. And then after that, he obliterated his next opponent with lunging hooks that I ate. So, and then Warren, of course, was Captain Concussion, and he was dropping folks left and right, and then 5 rounds with me. Boss Hogg, his next fight, he wired a guy's jaw shut, and then he went and took out Uli Diaz. So, I mean, the guys I fought are no slouches in the slightest, and they hit like freight trains. But this guy's decided people just like Warren has, so I'm kind of curious that in the pocket it's different.
Yeah, and you mentioned the last fight there. I felt like that was a really strong win at BKFC 23, getting the majority decision distinction, and over somebody who is like a ranked contender, being number 4 in the division, yourself number 2 there. Like, what are your thoughts on the overall experience there? Like, how would you assess the overall performance you had there in April?
It was interesting because his movement changed drastically after the second round. As soon as I knocked him down, he started there was no willingness to engage me. He wanted me to come in. He wanted to hit me as I was coming in, which is good. That was the plan he needed to go to beat me. I just don't think he implemented it. I think I razored him out just a little bit, but like I said, it was a razor thin close match. Merits on both sides. Warren did exactly what he was supposed to do to fight me, and I think I just did just a little bit better.
Yeah, it was a very tactical, interesting fight to take in for sure. But something you were mentioning earlier that I thought was kind of interesting, like you were saying, you were kind of almost preparing for a different opponent, like thinking a differing offer would kind of come your way. Is that because, Richman is like ranked at middleweight more so? Like he's number 2 ranked middleweight, you're number 2 ranked at light heavyweight presently. Was it that part of it that kind of threw you off a little bit, or was there like a specific other opponent that you had reason to believe you might be fighting?
Oh yeah, since he was number 2 for middleweight 175, I figured he was going to be fighting Richie for the title. But I guess this whole big debacle with him and Hunt, so they're wanting to try and give him a belt, and then so that he can probably square off with Hunt, I think is what they're trying to do.
Line who up with Hunt there? Sorry.
I said, I think what they're trying to do is make him move up so that super fight with Hunt can happen, because they were pushing that for a little while.
That's interesting. Do you feel like you maybe don't fit in the equation there? Like maybe you be playing a spoiler almost to some sort of plan to see that fight come to fruition? Or
I have never fit into the BKFC's plan. I'm not that big of a loudmouth. I don't care if I win or lose. I'm here to have fun. I enjoy every fight. I respect all of my opponents. They have not liked me in the slightest. They didn't want me to win against Boss Hogg. They didn't want me to win against Jay Jackson, Jared Warren. They've been giving me all the guys that try to knock people out, and now I'm with the Marine. So they're trying really hard. They've never liked me from the start, so I'm not in their plans in the slightest.
That's very curious. Why do you think that is? Like, I mean, because you've been performing steadily for the promotion since you've been a part of it. Like, I guess I'd be, confused as to why that would be the dynamic. Like, why do you think BKFC doesn't really have you in their plans, as it were?
I'm a very busy guy. I've got multiple jobs. I've got a kid. I've got a bunch of stuff. I don't have time to hop on social media and badmouth my opponents. I don't feel the need to. We're all on the world stage. We all have our own merits. I don't hop on the microphone and tell them how I'm going to come in and absolutely destroy my opponent. And not only that, because I just picked up boxing just recently. All of my guys have been super tall. It's hard for me to land that knockout punch. So I'm not exactly the most exciting fighter, because I'm a clinch fighter. I'm dirty. I'm mean. I'm grimy. I get in there and I basically bully people, and people don't like that.
You mentioned the similar physique to Richmond in this one. Do you think based on that it'll be more at range in this one as compared to other fights, or more like go with the bread and butter, like the tried and true kind of clinch fighting, just like what brought you to the dance, like, if it's, don't broke, don't fix it sort of kind of mentality?
Oh, the clinch will always be there. That is my bread and butter. That is my A game. And Richmond knows that. He's better in the pocket. I'm better in the clinch. We're going to see which wins. And how good I am in the pocket when I don't have to continually chase somebody down. Because that's the biggest part of all my fights, is I keep on having to close that distance, and all they have to do is step away.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned like a lot of the, facets of your life, different, things you ensconce yourself with, and, different relationships and stuff like that. I, always think it's cool that like you and Jessica Link are both pursuing like different bare knuckle endeavors and stuff like that, and everything like that. And also seems like you're getting out of your shell a little bit, going to concerts and stuff like that. Like she was talking about a day to remember when I was interviewing her ahead of her BYB fight there. And she's like, oh yeah, Isaac's come to like a couple concerts with me, but not necessarily like his bag, but trying it out. So how have some of those experiences been? Are you not much of a concert guy generally?
Well, most of the time I'm either working or I'm trying to get work. So I don't really, it's not that I'm not much of a concert guy. I don't like to spend the money. I like to invest the money, and I like to be working. Maybe it's the Jew in me, but I like to make my money. And she's been slowly pulling me out to do fun things and spend a little bit more. And I'm not gonna go on air and say it's been fun, because then she'll throw it back at me and see but it's fun.
Yeah, no, I thought that was a cool sort of dynamic. I mean, I'm kind of inclined to go that sort of direction too. Like, I mean, just going to different, like, professional oriented kind of things and keeping the ball rolling in that kind of sense too. But I mean, yeah, sometimes it's good to indulge in that kind of stuff and take a little bit of a break, decompress a touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. And just, I'm kind of wondering, like, the main kind of, space you're getting in work at. Is it like same, gym, sparring partners, etc. for this one? Have you been switching it up a little bit at all, or not so much?
No, it's a lot of grinding, making sure that I'm up to the task. We're throwing in sparring partner. It's the same old adage, just we're strategizing, doing what we need to do in order to try and get the edge up. But like I said, this dude's an absolute monster. He's got brilliant footwork. He's got phenomenal strategy. He executes it flawlessly. So it's a monumental task.
And I'm kind of curious because, like, you were at one point lined up for a title fight in BYB, and obviously that didn't, pan out smoothly. A lot of behind the scenes kind of stuff kind of popping up there. Is there a certain sense of, like, relief in getting some semblance of a title fight kind of locked in here and everything like that? Or how do you feel about that? Is that like a capstone, like set out, mapped out kind of goal achievement, capturing a title within bare knuckle competition? Like, can you speak to that timeline, I suppose?
Maybe I'm the odd man out, but I really don't care about, I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and I didn't care about belts. And this, I really don't care about belt. The only thing that, the only big reason that I'm hanging my hat on this is because my coach has invested a lot of time in me. Him and my manager are pretty much the only ones who believed in me and my fighting career. So to be able to show them that there is fruits to this labor, and pretty much when I win the belt, I'm putting it on my coach, because the man has done phenomenal with me and he's invested so much time, and I could care less about the belt myself. I'm in here to have fun. I'm in here to punch people and get punched, and I'm in here at the end of the day. I enjoy it. It's a chess match with consequences, so I'm going to do it until I don't enjoy it anymore. The belt has no bearing on me.
Yeah, it's kind of nice that you would want to give it to your coach, though. It sort of shows, like, how you would almost perceive that. Like, I feel like you would credit him for imparting that technique, like, as much as your work ethic and sticking to it is a key part in all of that formula with succeeding and stuff like that. It just shows that level of respect, like, oh, hey, I appreciate what you've done for my career in terms of guiding the technique and honing the skills.
Oh yeah, as soon as I win the belt, you'll see me take it off. I'll if I can and I have time, I'm going to be putting it right on my coach, because he earned that sucker. He has dragged me from a crappy little grappler to now we're on the world stage. And another reason I want to win the title was originally I got into bare knuckle as a hold my beer moment, something I could tell my kid when I got older that, hey, your dad did bare knuckle boxing. My manager, when we got the BKFC contract, my manager looked at me and goes, here we go. We might get another one, but you got to win. And I looked at him with just completely joking and all. What happens if I get a belt? Because we never thought we'd get this far. And he goes, if you get a belt, you can pay me my 10% manager fee, and I will dress up in an itsy-bitsy, teeny-weeny yellow polka dot bikini.
Oh.
And he's a very large man. And so if I win that belt, I'm calling on that bet. That's one of the main reasons for me. If anything else, I just want to see this grown man in a bikini.
Is this going to be on pay-per-view or maybe more of like an Instagram kind of peak, or what are we thinking for the reveal if that happens?
Unfortunately, I think he's not going to be there for the fight. I think he's got work. He works for the military. So I think it's going to be once he gets back to, because he owns the gym that I'm at. Once he gets back, we're going to have everybody with ones, and we're going to pay him his 10% while he's dancing around in a bikini. And we will have somebody filming it, so the entirety of the internet will get to see this.
Well, that sounds fun. Definitely a facet of the fight I wasn't necessarily expecting, but a fun one all the same. But something I am pseudo expecting just because of how prevalent it seems to be in combat sports culture and seen it a few times in BKFC. It seems like in these situations where there's like an interim title holder crowned and stuff like that, there's like the obligatory champ coming in the ring to face off and do the whole bit. And you were talking before about like, it's not really in me to want to do the trash talking. It's not of my persuasion. It's not something I'm interested in, really. Like, what do you think about that dynamic? That kind of seems like a bit of an inevitability. Is that something you'll kind of feel a certain way about? Like, oh, this is kind of awkward a little bit, or you're kind of just like, oh, whatever. It's sort of, part and parcel with like how these things happen, I guess.
Hunt's already said that after the fight, he's going to jump in and mean mug the winner. So if it happens to be me, I'm going to try my best not to laugh, because I've met the dude in real life and he's a super nice guy. And in fact, if I ever face off with him, I've already told him that I'm going to be wearing a welder's mask so that at the instant we go to square off, I can put it down so that he can't tomato my face. I mean, if you're going to get mean mugged, you better have fun with it.
This is very thorough. You even have like a strategy for the weigh-ins part, not even just for the fighting portion.
Oh yeah, he's a big personality, and so you got to do something to match it.
It's kind of interesting you talking about that though, like interacting with him, and you're like, oh yeah, he's like a pretty nice guy and like a pleasant lad to interact with, and stuff like that. I mean, he was talking to me, and he seemed like a little perturbed, to say the very least, about there being an interim title in play. Do you think that's almost like how would you characterize that? As almost like a persona based interaction? Like he feels like he should say that as the champion, because you say like he's like a nice guy, that almost sort of belies like the dynamic where it's like he seemed like he was quite perturbed that an interim title fight was set up. I think he even described it as childish and a host of other terms and stuff like that. Do you think it's like almost like a persona based kind of thing, or like how would you characterize that expression almost?
I would assume so. If I was in his shoes, I would be a little perturbed, because they kind of pulled the rug out from him, didn't give him the 205 when he fought Hector Lombard. Then they went through all this rigmarole. He had to defend a belt that he should have been a weight class higher on, had him defend it. The dude looked like a skeleton at weigh-ins, and they've just been giving him the runaround. Now that he's got a title, they go, oh, we're going to pretty much give away your title. The man has invested a lot of hard work, and he's a very gifted athlete. So I would be a little bit perturbed if they gave me the runaround like that, and then just kind of, we're going to give it to somebody else. So I understand his feeling. I don't know how much of it is a persona and what's not, but the dude's an absolute monster. Almost 9-1. I think he is 9-1. Knockouts galore. He's an absolute animal.
Yeah, in a certain way, he almost has kind of a similar, place in BKFC that you do. And as far as like he wasn't that like quote unquote chosen guy, but just through strength of effort and the performances, just really asserted himself kind of at the top. So kind of similar, at least in that kind of regard.
Oh, yeah, they didn't give him anything, and finally he had to go and jump into the ring with Hector Lombard, and that's when his persona, that's what I think it is, his persona kind of came out. And since he's done the persona, like, credit to the man, he's a genius. Since he's done his persona, everybody's talking about him. Everybody wants to fight him. Everybody wants to be associated with him. He's blown up, and that's good marketing on his part. So bravo to the man. He's a genius on that. He's great with advertising, and he's a hell of a fighter.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, when I was saying persona before, I wasn't trying to say, I mean, it's just kind of a part of combat sports. Like some people will go that route, like, oh, I was just talking a little bit to, get the fight going and stuff like that. Like he strikes me as an earnest guy in having talked to him a couple times and stuff like that. But yeah, not overlooking this fight. Obviously a huge fight with, Mike Richman, a great interim title fight, one I was excited for when I saw the announcement pop up and stuff like that. And I always appreciate you coming on the show and giving great insights ahead of these fights, Isaac. But I also do want to be mindful of your busy schedule as well. So to that point, is there maybe anything you might want to add as a parting thought as we're kind of wrapping up here, man?
I'm just going to give credit to my opponent again. Marine is an absolute strategist and a monster in the ring, and I'm gonna enjoy myself sharing the ring with him. Let's put on a great show. Let's have some fun, and whoever wins, to the best man may the victory.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing marquee topper there on October the 15th, BKFC 31. And yeah, thanks so much for coming on the show and giving insights ahead of this interim title fight, man. Cool to see two undefeated lads go at it. And yeah, going to be a very exciting fight to take in. And just you enjoy the rest of your day, and looking forward to checking out the fight when you guys knuckle up and toe the line there.
I appreciate you. You have a wonderful day.
All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, excited to be talking to an individual set to headline BKFC 31, and that transpires October the 15th. It's for the interim light heavyweight title. We have Isaac Doolittle and Mike Richman knuckling up and toeing the line, and happy to be welcoming Mike onto the program for the first time. How's your day going there, man?
It's going good. I literally just got done with some good sparring rounds today. Trying to amp it up this week. Push it to the limit, so I can put on a exciting show next week.
Yeah, and what were the, initial thoughts when this opportunity kind of came about there? Because obviously you're, ranked in a different weight category too and everything like that, so it would seem like you'd have a couple different options. Like, what were your thoughts when this interim title opportunity kind of came your way?
Well, I think it all kind of... the whole 185-pound scene kind of started with, obviously, with Lorenzo Hunt and myself's little beef or whatever you want to call it that started. Thought it was possibly going to be him. He went a different route. As far as I had the number one title shot against Francesco Ricci, and from the sounds of it, they're only going to have that dude fight in South Florida, so it was going to be, probably Hollywood or somewhere in Miami. Obviously has a big following there. And it was sounding like that fight probably won't happen until end of year or early next year. And I didn't want to keep waiting. So when they brought this fight opportunity to me, it was about 7 weeks out when they told me, 6 or 7, I believe. And initially it was supposed to be, they told me it was supposed to be for the official 85 title. The interim kind of came off along the line a week or two later. I think when Lorenzo found out, he made a big fuss about it. But it was just one of those things where I felt like it was a good opportunity for me to already try to get up there and claim some gold, the beginning of me trying to stamp my legacy in this sport. So I wanted to, in order to do that, you got to take risks. You got to go up and weight. You got to get out of your comfort zone. I got to continue to shock the fans that don't believe me. Continue to shock the fans that do believe in me. Because every time I go out there and put on a highlight finish, there's always going to be someone like, oh, that dude wasn't good. And it's just never going to be good enough, and that's fine with me. I love that. So it was just, they brought the opportunity to me, and I thought it over. And I eventually made the decision to just go for it. I guess the only negative of it is just the worry that, I go out there, I beat Doolittle, I get this title, and then I'm stuck up there, right? I got to continue taking these bigger dudes, riskier fights over and over again. Because I, of course, want to drop back down. I want to try to get the title at 175, and then I want to drop down to 165 and get the title there as well. So, I have plans to try to win in multiple weight classes because it all really kind of goes down to I want to leave the sport, one of the best.
So yeah, like the light...
They offered it to me, and I said, yeah, let's dance.
So the light heavyweight path would mostly be like, this fight, and then ideally, I guess, unifying with the lineal champion, but then thereafter you'd be looking to pursue more like middleweight opportunities and also 165 there, you're saying?
Yeah, essentially, I don't plan to stay up at light heavyweight long. It was more of a go up there, get the title, finish up some business with Lorenzo, which I don't think he can even make the weight. From my understanding, which I want to be hitting up my manager here in the next day or so, he is supposed to be vacating one of the two titles. They're not, David Feldman said in a couple of interviews that he is not going to allow defending dual champions. You can win a dual title. Yeah. Look at me, I got 2 belts. But at the end of the day, he's making, he's going to make them vacate one or the other. So, whether Lorenzo does it or not, or he throws a little crybaby fucking fit like he likes to do. The sounds of it, he was supposed to vacate the 85-pound title, and Doolittle and I would be fighting for the official title. But, whether that happens or not, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I mean, when I spoke to Lorenzo just a bit before his last fight with Quentin Henry there, he seemed a bit perturbed from the interim title fight, to say the least, and I saw you had a post that was kind of like, oh, well, I mean, this is technically the real title fight in my estimation. Like, when did all of this, I guess, beef with Lorenzo Hunt start coming from your perspective? Like, what was the nucleus of the whole rivalry?
I just think the biggest thing for me is, cool, man, like, anyone that seen Lorenzo in the beginning, he was actually kind of a cool, nice, humble dude, and then as he got on a little run, you could see his ego and his head getting bigger and bigger. Then he turned into this, this persona, this character. He's a caricature of himself, and that's annoying in itself. I get it. He's kind of looks like he probably wants to transition to some AEW shit after he's done doing this, which is good, man. Go get paid. But he turned himself into a fucking character. With me, anyone who knows me, I am who I am. I'm funny, I'm mean, I'm arrogant, I'm a little bit of everything. But I've always been who I am. I'm not this fucking character. And I think that irritated me along with a lot of other people. But what irritates me the most is his sense of entitlement for a title that he never even made weight for. I just don't understand. And then his excuse is, well, they made me fight for the title at 195. But, he's not a very smart individual. So the fact that he thinks he's a 185-pound champ when he's never even made weight for that title or defended it or even came close to making weight to that title, and he still thinks he's the champion of that title, it just goes to show how delusional this fucking guy is. And now he might be the 195-pound champion where there's no belt for. They should make a belt for him and give it to him, little toy belt. He can run around with that thing. But that's my biggest issue with him. He keeps thinking he's the champion of a weight class he's never even been in, never even defended, let alone made weight for. I mean, come on, guys. And then you guys and then everyone in here freaking enables this character. Enables him to be like, yeah, he is an 85-pound champ. No, he's fucking not. How hard is that to understand? Living fucking la-la land around here.
Yeah, and he was talking, like when I was speaking to him, he was talking about like wanting to pretty much like cut weight to, defend that title right thereafter. But from what you're saying, you don't even necessarily think he could make that 185 mark.
I don't think he can, but if he says he can, then I guess we'll find out. Because if we meet, down the road, like I said, I don't want to overlook Doolittle, but if Lorenzo and I meet down the road, then cool. We can say we're going to meet at 185, and when you don't make weight, cool, you automatically got to vacate it. And I'm going to make BKFC and you pay me a bunch of fucking money when your little punk ass doesn't make weight.
Yeah, and I mean, Doolittle obviously a notable talent for sure. Like, he's an undefeated guy in the division and everything, and you strike me as a guy that's like aware of the general field and what the different fighters bring to the table. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like you'd be acutely aware of this guy being like an undefeated fighter and the skills he possesses.
No, he's super skillful, super athletic. He gets better. He is getting better every fight. He's not as sloppy and as ugly as early on, earlier in his career. He's a little smarter. He's getting a little bit better. And the bottom line is, anyone knows that's really been watching the sport, they want to see Lorenzo and I fight. That's the fight that they want to see. It's either Lorenzo and I next or Lorenzo versus Trujillo. It's got to be one of those two. Obviously, I got to get rid of Doolittle because, he's a tough contender that is, probably training his ass off, trying to upset the apple cart. But I don't know, man. Lorenzo, we're going to find out soon if he has to vacate the title or not. He probably won't. He'll probably go on this little social media rant and crying. I don't give a shit anymore. Just pay me my fucking money. Everyone knows who the champ is.
I mean, it could benefit in a certain way just if you get that ideal fight. I mean, you're fighting a guy that would have, like, I guess the 2 belts and number 2 ranked pound for pound. So I guess, if you were to get the ideal outcome, if that fight were to, manifest down the line, could maybe add a little bit more to it. Like, maybe that's the silver lining, I suppose, or maybe not looking at it like that.
No, yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of potential for a mega fight between him and I come the next Knucklemania show. Timelines, if everything lines up properly and everyone's healed up and, healthy to go for it. it can line up to be a mega fight. So I'm not denying that, and that's what I want. Hopefully that's what he'll want, after my fight. He's got options now up at 205. I just want to collide with his ass. I mean, I'm the type of dude where I'll fucking meet you at 205 and fight for your belt. Even though all my advisors, training partners, manager, be like, no, Mike, make him cut weight. There's a part of me that's like, nah, put your fucking 205 pound belt on. I'll fight you there. Like, I get people get all caught up in weight classes, but like, we ain't fucking grappling, and we ain't wrestling, we ain't doing none of that. We're just fucking fist fighting, and I can fist fight with the best of them. And if anyone can't see that now, you don't know shit about fighting. You don't know what the fuck you're watching, and you just sit your ass down and watch something else.
Yeah, well, I think you're...
I mean, seriously. Like, this fucking, some of the media, the fans and this shit, they don't know shit.
Has there been certain fan and media sentiment that's come your way that's bothered you in that regard? Like people saying certain off-base or incorrect information? You seem pretty fired up.
No, it's not just about me directly. I just think the sport is so new. I think the sport is so new. Everyone's trying to get that wave, trying to be that next big media guy for the sport, the next fan or persona for the sport. They're trying to be that person. And I think a lot of people don't know shit about bare knuckle fighting. They don't know shit about fight. They don't know shit about MMA, boxing, let alone bare knuckle. They don't know what they're watching. They don't know what they're experiencing. They don't know what a fighter is actually doing in there. And I just think there's a lot of people out there that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't. When it comes to bare knuckle fighting, I'll fight a lot of fucking dudes. I will when it comes to just pure fist fighting. One dude I won't fucking fight is that Ben Rothwell. That's a fucking scary motherfucker. When it comes to fist fighting, I won't fist fight that dude. I'll take a pass on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. I can agree with that. I understand where you're coming from there. But, like, in terms of where you've been training as of late, like, it seems like the academy has been the main space, and it looks like John Castaneda has been someone you've been working with a fair bit. Is that kind of a fair characterization of the training camp ahead of this one and all?
No, John is a longtime friend of mine. We worked together. We've trained many years together. I don't really spar with the smaller guys now. Obviously, I fight bigger now. I'm a bigger guy now, but he's in the room with me raw. It's one of those things where you're still kind of in an MMA type of group setting, so you're all kind of grinding, sweating, bleeding together. So that's still a great feeling to have. But now, I'm getting after it against bigger dudes in my training camp. And then I got one dude that I just got done sparring with. His name's Ahmad. And he's yet to make his MMA debut or boxing debut. He really kind of wants to just start at bare knuckle. And I like the kid because he's got a heart. And anyone that knows me or has trained with me in the past, I spar hard. I train hard. But when I get ready for fights, I like to fight. And I like to spar hard. So sometimes in the past, I've got a reputation for unintentionally hurting or knocking out my sparring partners. I don't do that intentionally. I train how I fight, and I fight how I train. And the best way to get in fight shape is get in there and fucking get after it. So, over the years, not as many people want to do rounds with me. But Ahmad, my guy right here, he's willing to get after it. And I got nothing but love for that when someone's willing to come in here and put in the work.
Yeah, and you were talking about how there's like more of like a, desire to have that learning curve with like a lot of people in the sport. It seems like, at least with like some of the higher level athletes and stuff, like more of the discussion is centric on like fight IQ and like the emerging techniques around it. Do you appreciate that emerging discourse around like, high fight IQ considerations as to like what you're doing in there in the space? Because I felt like initially like it was just such a new thing in a certain sense, and people were more looking at kind of the bombast of it all, but it seems like people are really like picking out the nuances and techniques in a more fight IQ centric way, at least like with the high level kind of fighters.
Yeah, for sure. I think as time goes on, you're going to see that not only in the fights from the first fight of the card all the way to the end, you can see more talent. But just like David Feldman says, you can have all the talent in the world, you can have all the IQ in the world, you still need some brass balls to stay in the fire, to stay in the pocket. And that's the biggest thing of it all. I tell fighters all the time that are getting into bare knuckle, when they ask me for advice, I'm like, stay calm, stay cool. If you get popped in the fucking face, and you feel that crack, you feel that sting that you never felt in MMA or boxing, you got to make sure you stay calm and cool and act like this is business as usual and you're used to it. When you can stay calm and cool, your mind will stay calmer, your body language will be calmer, and then you'll be able to flow and go with that fight, that real live fight pace. Because the first time you crack bare knuckle, the first time you hit someone in the head, it feels different. The first time you get hit in the head, it feels different. This isn't just a off the rip street fight. This is a predetermined, you train for this, and now you're going in there, now you're cracking, knuckle to knuckle, bone to bone. And those are experiences that I think when the first people get into bare knuckle, they're taken back by that, right? You get hit for the first time, your fight or flight kicks in, and all of a sudden you lose your cool, and then it turns into this ugly little affair that you see happen sometimes, right? But then once you see those dudes that know how to keep their cool, stay right in the pockets, you'll be able to see things coming. That's when you start seeing the evolution and the elevation just kind of rise of the sport. More economical with their punches, more setting up their shots, not a high punch count because obviously you don't want to fuck your hand up. There's different elements of the game that you'll see continue to evolve.
Yeah, cool thing to see, and I appreciate the insights, but I also understand you're a busy guy, and also in the interest of being mindful of that, is there anything you might want to add as a parting thought as we're kind of wrapping up here, man?
No, man, not really. Other than and I appreciate the call. Sometimes I do get fired up. It is what it is. That's just fucking how I am. I'm a passionate dude. When you guys watch me, I tell it all the time. You can be prepared for an exciting fight, whether I knock them out right away or it's an all-out war. You know that when you watch me fight, I'm gonna be in there, and I'm gonna be in the line of fire. I'm gonna be in that fucking danger zone, and I'm gonna be looking for the kill, and I'm gonna be putting myself out there to get killed myself. But that's what makes me an exciting fighter. That's what put me on the great run that I am, because my style translates perfectly to bare knuckle. And I hope you guys enjoy the show next week.
Yeah, it's a cool thing to see. It feels like there's a great, career longevity aspect to it as well, just like with the grappling aspects being subverted out of this and just the straight bare knuckle. So, yeah, I love to see it, and I loved seeing this fight get announced. I think this fight with Isaac Doolittle will be quite compelling there, so very much makes sense why it's the BKFC 31 main event. And, yeah, looking forward to checking that out on October 15th there, man, and just, yeah, hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day there, Mike, and looking forward to peeping the fight when it goes down, too.
I appreciate it. Thank you, man.